It is Gabz FM, power to engage your world. 7:21 is your time. Welcome to this week's edition of the Lounge Convo right here on Love's Lounge, exclusive to Gabz FM, power to engage your world. And getting into our first special edition for the year 2024. We've done we've done a bit of a lot as far as our special editions go. We've touched on acting, script writing, being a DOP, making it as an actor, running a production company, distributing content, as well as we commemorated the Day of People Living with Disabilities, and just talking disabilities as well as, people living with disabilities being active within the film and TV space, as well as we've looked at comedy in the film and TV space in Botswana. And on this special, we are in conversation with creative Tumelo Johwa. And I'll say creative because this man wears a lot of hats. And for this here conversation, creative is the one title we're going with. He started out as a TV presenter in 2000 on the UNICEF Children's Day of Broadcasting back, and it was a special on BTV at the time. And since then, he has evolved from just being a TV presenter to producing, acting, and directing, amongst other things. He has played characters in TV drama series, as well as hosted magazine shows on a continental and a local level. Local talking out here in Botswana, and continental talking, not just one country outside Botswana, other countries as well, just within the continent. Good evening. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, my man. I'm, it's been a while since I did this. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I actually love the show. I'm a big fan.
Nice one. And we've had you on the show before, touching on different elements. I believe the last time we had a convo right here on the show was about being a father and being an active person within the film and TV space. It's good to have you in studio, and we're taking a look at building a career within the space of film and TV in Botswana. You started out in 2000 at that time, just a presenter. How old were you at the time?
2000. I think nigga hits at tears. No, I'm kidding. How old was I? I must have been, 14?
14.
Yeah, I was a teenager. Because I know that 2 years before that, I had done some training called Bob TV Studios. And we're basically trying to find out where to go to with the craft itself.
All right. So I take it even then in 2014, in 2000, age 14, you're not the one who signed the contract.
Was that 14? Anyway, we'll calculate that. We'll keep it going. Let's keep it going.
We'll keep it going. So the reason we're having you here is because when it comes to the special editions, we just try get a bit more understanding into things. You've been in this space for such a long time. If I was to calculate from 2000 till now, 2024, and still going, it's more than, let's say, that's like over 20 years.
Yeah.
Of being within the space, obviously in and out of school, finishing school, going to varsity, but still being a part of it, because you're not just in TV, you're also a musician. So, you've been in the space, in the game for such a long time. Now,
it's anything but a game.
It's anything but a game. Yeah. So let's take a look at it, man. Building a career within this space. Let's just start from how it starts. Everybody wants to be, at most, I believe they fall in love with what they see on screen before they learn of the different roles that are there. How does one start? Audition, obviously, I start with an audition. Then what?
It starts with a dream, actually. Because, you start watching films and movies. I remember my siblings, my older siblings, were big sci-fi fans. Your Indiana Jones, your Back to the Futures. And then Ausbonyana used to take us to Capitol Cinemas. Then you're watching these, you're watching these films and you're trying to figure out exactly, okay, you fall in love with the character, but then at some point you want to know how these things are created. And then from then on, you start looking around your community or not, okay, fine, what's there? Then there's radio, you get to talk to a few people. Then with me, it was more around the time where BTV was happening. You know what I mean? BTV was a new thing, but that was and so forth. But, you know, we had other things like body modeling agencies and it's where they were doing, you know, I think teen magazines and stuff like that. So what happened was, like I say, the whole community aspect of it was when UNICEF came through to do the whole Children's Day of Broadcasting. Like any responsible go-getter, you know, I chased it, called them up, tried to figure out exactly what this thing was, and they threw me in the deep end. Because then now they actually expanded the community. Some people who are doing sports programs like your Maritlanengs and, you know, other people who are doing drama shows, you know, your Giselles who are doing radio. We got to actually get together and do talk shows. And then I think that's where it really kind of sparked things because like you're saying, auditions, we didn't even know simply what auditions were. But I knew because, you know, I'd been watching KTV or Yo TVs and, you know, having gone for training at the Bob TV studios, you knew and to look forward to auditions, but Botswana, nobody was auditioning. Yeah. It wasn't heard of, you know?
So luckily for you, you started at a time when, you know, there was a bit of movement. There was a bit of, within the creative space, especially for young people, there was a bit of something happening. So you had a bit of reference points then there.
Very tiny bit. In comparison to today, it was very tiny. I mean, that's where I have my do-it-yourself kind of, or figure it out yourself kind of culture because you get to see a lot happening behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And you once you're in love with something and you realize you've actually got what it takes to do it, you know, a lot happens. It transforms you. You start seeing other things that you kind of, you know, get curious about.
So at that time, you know, because I take it a lot of people are at that stage where, you know, now they are doing auditions, they're doing all of this, and then they think this is Botswana. And there are not a lot of people who are like you, who've been in this space for such a long time and still doing it. Most people over time, they falling off in terms of they just let go of their passion, their dream, because probably you're having a kid, supposed to get married, something happens at the home, you know, your life financially change. Yeah, you know, and we know, let's not hide. When it comes to, you know, the Botswana film and TV space, money doesn't really flow that easily to the talent, you know. So for a person to get to that start, what understanding do they have to have, especially when going for an audition?
Well, to this day, I still audition. 20 years now, I still do auditions, not just because, not my whole thing, hey, you know, why don't you just drop on your show reel? Yes, there are those, you know, different projects that I get into where it's literally the merit side of things. But auditions, you get to learn a lot, like workshopping. I fell in love with auditions because I was lucky enough to actually have worked with, especially Limo Botswana, some of like the directors who are more established, like with workshopping, for instance. You get the benefit of doing like a quick crash course and you get to meet up with your team. And the lovely thing is it's like being on a play date. You know what I mean? You're with your peers, you're with like-minded people. You realize you have like, you know, a goal, a common goal. And, you know, that's where the camaraderie, there's a lot that happens, the magic during auditioning. And then there's the nightmare of having to be nervous. There's a whole line. There's so many different people. And it's not like I've nailed every audition I've ever, you know, gone for, but I've nailed every audition I've gone for because I give it my best. You know what I mean? But you earn your chops.
All right.
You know?
We do continue this conversation right here, building a career within the film and TV space in Botswana. We are in conversation with Tumelo Johwa, a.k.a. King Tux, because, that's what he gets to do. When he's not acting or writing or producing or doing any of those, he's actually in the booth recording some music. Do keep it locked. It's Gabz FM. It's Gabz FM, power to engage your world. We continue our conversation right here with Tumelo Johwa. The good of, auditioning, the workshopping and everything, the nightmare, the nervous feelings you get and all that. So you overcome those.
You overcome those and they teach you to be prepared. Because you're on your own at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You really want this. But also if you don't get it, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're not good enough. If you really put in your 100%, because sometimes even as a casting director, I'll realize, well, no, this person is really good, but we're looking for a particular character, you know, particular, you know, features or other things that physically maybe the person cannot, you know, adapt, or somebody else who was doing it is more, you know, naturalized into it.
All right.
So it's nothing personal.
When I look at Botswana, you know, like you're saying, you know, sometimes you don't make it because, you don't make it. And you look at Botswana from, let's say, when you started to now. Obviously, now maybe there are a few more projects. But back then, let's take 2000 to 2009. Let's take that time frame. There weren't that many projects, but there were projects. Take that in comparison to what was happening around us in other countries. You know, they have many projects. So you find that, yeah, if I fail this audition, if I do 10 auditions, I have to get one. I don't know Botswana because there are not that many projects and all of that. It means there's a chance that you're going to fail all 5 shows that are doing auditioning. How do you overcome that?
You suck it up.
Okay.
Look, especially 2000 and 2009 that was a very, very, very interesting time in my life because that's when I was living in Cape Town, right? And in Cape Town and Botswana, it was like a culture shock for me because back when I was in Cape Town, that's when I went for more auditions. I did ads, your Sanlam ads, your Pep TV ads. And that's why I kind of fell in love again with the possibility of acting because it seemed so unattainable. You know what I mean? That whole Hollywood thing, that whole, you know, what's almost storying your generations and stuff like that. It seemed so impossible. So once the whole ad space came in, you know, doing ads and stuff like that, that's when it was like, oh, so that there are opportunities out there. Meanwhile, back home, it was still kind of dry because there were only a few, like most people.
I don't know if you can use the word sample size. The sample size was
I mean, it was what it was. The perception of film, being a film producer, was more like we shoot a manyalo. You get what I mean? But I mean, we had people like Bo Fenye from Flave, whom I remember coming back for holidays. We did, I think it was the first show to be on Africa Music, from Botswana. You know what I mean? And this was like, it was a huge thing back then.
This would be what, Flat 101?
It wasn't Flat 101, it was called E-Zone.
E-Zone,
yes, okay. I was presenting it with the former Miss Botswana, Lala Tebogo. And for me then, it was more like, okay, no, I'll come back home. When I come back home, everything will be great because you've got people doing this and doing that. And then jumping back to South Africa, that same year, I'm now doing Campus Connection for SABC 1. And things are so much easier. So you get to kind of see what could be for back home. And things are so much easier to do. You know what I mean? I'm auditioning every other week. I get to school. There's events. You know, we had a poetry. I remember we had a poetry show that we had weekly where we even had like people come to improv, come do the whole poetry stuff. We had I Finally come in the early days before they blew up. We had the freshly ground sister, I forget her name.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and, you know, we used to have jam sessions. So the coming from, I think that was another thing that saved me because I was in a very observatory was very artsy, you know what I mean? And, you know, coming back here, I came back with hope and a lot of hope.
So now you bring me to, you know, to the point where it comes to research, the importance of research being in this space. Because obviously, yes, you're moving depending on the school calendar. You're there, you come back, you're there, you come back. Same worlds, but very different. There are lots of activities going on. And this is within a province. You're now here, you're looking at an entire country.
Yeah.
But there's... So as you're doing your research, you know, as a person who wants to get into the space, as you're doing your research, does it then help you choose other paths within, you know, what kind of research are you doing? Because obviously now you get to see, okay, I'm doing more on-screen stuff. And when I come back this side, there's probably opportunity for more behind-the-scenes stuff.
For me, it was more like create your own jobs. Okay. Create your on-screen stuff.
So was this also based on what you're seeing between the two different worlds?
Yes, it was based on that because I was working for a company called Design Factory, right? And it was run by young guys who were like UCT students as well. And that's where I got to figure out that, you know, I was like, I've always been a huge like advocate for, you know, youth development and, you know, give us money and we'll change the world, we'll do amazing things. But that also comes with responsibility. But these guys had a blueprint that kind of made me realize that coming back home, especially when it came down to when Tabiso came back from Australia and we started D-Zone, you know what I mean? That on its own was a very big moment in the industry over here, because now we got to figure out exactly how to, generate income and revenue and things like that. But having been there, you get to see what could be over here. Because back that side, you'll find that even with advertising agencies are more open because they're based that side. I mean, most of the companies are based that side, or they're bigger that side, or they've got a bigger.
I mean, there's a lot that's going on in terms of just the scene.
Yeah, so we started teasing with that, you know what I mean? Like with CSR programs for like the banks out here or other corporates out here, they became more open to filming their stuff. So when you film stuff, you need what? Voiceovers. When you film stuff, you need what? A presenter. When you want to push a message, sorry, my lisp. When you want to push a message, you write those scripts, you get those actors, and you actually come up with, products or packages where you literally don't have to send the whole board to go and sit there on a yearly review when you could have filmed everything or covered it in a, more palatable way.
All right, in conversation right here with, let's just go with Ken Tux for now.
Let me switch persona.
Yeah, but no, just the name. We're not switching anything. So yeah, in you just talking about, the things you're able to do, the people you're able to meet. You earlier on, you talked about how, you at least for you when you started, you got to be workshopped and everything. So it means in you being active as well, I'm picking up there was a lot of networking that was happening. The different people you're meeting. Absolutely. It's a form of networking for you.
Absolutely.
That would be networking.
Yeah, no.
Let's say.
Networking, especially with interacting with different people. There were people who I've had the pleasure to work with and still work with today, even from like the some of the youth that came from Malaysia. You know what I mean? Like, your shout out to your club media guys, your neo visual guys. I mean, these guys are killing it in the game right now, and I'm so proud of them. But at the same time, having to have worked with such people, you've learned a lot. You know what I mean? And you also get to understand that teamwork makes the dream work, like they say. Sorry to sound so cliche, but these are facts.
You know what? We're going to close up this conversation now. One thing that we like to do on just, the normal version of the Lounge Convo is also just throw in some music. So after this one, with Lately, we get to wrap it up. It's BWR&B right here on Gabz FM, Lately by Homole Momotse. We do continue our conversation and we do get to wrap it up in a conversation right here with creative Tumelo Johwa, a.k.a. King Tux. And we're just talking, we're talking building a career within the space, and how we do it when it comes to the special editions. It's all about a person sharing through their experiences, because obviously they're here because they experienced something, and it's good for them to share it so that you can see if you can apply any of the things they share in your own life. And we just talked, how he started, talked a bit about networking, because as he was just going through, how he would move from here to Cape Town, back here, back to Cape Town, do this, come here, do some work. Obviously, finally, he ended up coming back. There was a bit of networking there, the different people that you get to, to talk to. It wasn't necessarily an event, it's a networking event.
Yeah.
I take it networking is how, how and that's also a form of networking from how I would want to understand it. Now, just, still looking at your journey in this space as you are building your career. The networking you did, the different experiences you did, the comparison that you got to do in terms of Botswana versus where you were in terms of what's happening within the space. Now, as we look at the different stories or hear the different stories of people within the space, there seems to be this thing of, people not understanding the contract, people not understanding their deliverables, whether it's the person who's won the tender or the people who are talent within that thing. How important is it for one to be having an understanding of what is expected of them, especially within the film and TV space, and taking this, looking at towards them lasting longer, like yourself? How important is it for you to have an understanding of what you expect it to do and what you expect those that you're working with to do?
Well, it all boils down to responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get into this, depending on what project you're doing, you need to know how a project begins and ends with your contract. You have a lot of people battling about, no, look, let's just get into it. We'll see what happens or whatever. You need to know when you're getting paid, how you're getting paid, what is expected of you. And also at the same time, be responsible of that. And I'm taking this from both the hat, being a producer and being an actor, being the talent.
Yeah.
Because you both have to be responsible for your own camp. You know what I mean? If, for instance, I say I'm going to use this in perpetuity, and but now you don't understand the lingo. You don't understand the lingo. And then so you realize, and this person is getting more out of the deal. You need to know before anything else, know what you're getting yourself into. It's just as simple as that. You know, most people buy Taba because it's more like, oh, this is going to cost me an opportunity. But would you rather, it could be the whole cry in a Range Rover, cry in a Taz thing, but nobody wants to cry. You really want, how serious got this whole thing. You really want to cultivate anything, then take yourself seriously.
Because I'm thinking of, when even me as doing this thing on radio, having these conversations, I get to learn more. And obviously, I pick up things from around the world, just listening to, other interviews and everything, and just, doing a bit of reading there and there. Or, there are these issues of, obviously you shoot something, you can either choose to get paid outright or you become some form of a partner or whatever. You get your 20% and the rest we'll see how it does at the cinema, especially for movies. And obviously you find that it's not a thing that's exclusive to everyone.
Yeah.
It depends on how we went into it. So that's why just, for somebody who wants to get into the space to understand. Now, when you look at Botswana, what seems to be the problem? Because I see a lot of talent come and go, especially Baba in Baba Namu with the screening. They will come do a season of one thing. The next time you see that person, Salat or TV. What seems to be the problem?
Well, look, it depends on what your career is based on. Like, are you I want to be a celebrity scene, I survive, I live off the applause, or am I a social media star, or am I a newsreader, am I, a documentary narrator or host or whatever. It just basically depends. I don't really want to get too much into it, because if it comes down to which platforms are showing these things, because I know most of the time there's this running thing about how a local broadcaster, you'll never see a season 2, 3, 4, or 5. But then, Botswood is doing it right now with season 5 of the Tumelo Johwa type thing. So I don't know what the deals are. It just depends on the contracts. But personally, like for me, I literally just stick to what it is that is in front of me. If I'm doing a project, I stick through it. If I'm going to be working with other people, and we have to know that our contracts, like you're saying, our contracts are in there. If it's an equity deal, it's an equity deal. It belongs to us. Everybody gets their own percentage. And if I'm getting paid to do this and I need your services, I pay you. You do what I need. I pay so-and-so. They do what I need. I get paid. This happens, and we keep it moving.
You're right.
Yeah.
Tumelo Johwa. Now, thank you for coming through. We're going to have to wrap it up, but definitely we'll pick it up some other time. Building a career within the film and TV space. Now, for a person listening, and you're here, you have over 20 years worth of experience in the space. You've seen the highs and the lows, and
I grew up in this.
Yeah, you yourself, you've seen. Yeah, you're basically a child star.
I don't know about star, but
Hey.
Merci.
And at most, you find statistically sometimes, especially in Botswana, child stars, feed. And like I was saying earlier, people they move away from the space, whether it was the cameraman or the sound guy or the person in front of. Would you say it's worth it? We're talking building a career here. Right now, there's a parent who's listening, and their child at home is busy saying, they want to study this. They're doing their Form 5 and they want to study this. No. After this, I want to go to a creative university and do something in film and TV. Is it worth it? Looking at all that you've been through, is it worth it?
We could sit here and discuss that till Tuesday.
Okay.
Now, the easiest way I can put it, to be honest, is do research. Research. I don't know if this is something, because bear in mind that we have a lot of talent. You've seen a lot of talent. I listen to your show. I've heard the best of the best come through here, and they say that one thing: do your research. I think that's the best advice I can do. I mean, I do one-on-ones these days. Oh, so as I've sat down with parents, I've sat down with talent. I mean, there's a couple of other youngsters that I'm working with. Like you were talking about networking. I network with these young guys, and part of networking is sharing, jobs and stuff like that. I put them on, but we sat down, and they would ask me as an OG, as if you want to call it an OG. Yeah. And I literally just tell them the honest truth of what I know. You know what I mean? I'm not here in the space of being like, this is just my mini TED talk. Oh
yeah, like I said, that's why I'm saying it's based on people's experiences. Because obviously I haven't been in the film and TV space for 20 years. I've only watched. Yeah, and also bear in mind, you know what I mean? I still got a lot in me. You know what I mean? A lot in me, and I still got a future ahead. So it's just like our parents. We grew up watching our parents grow. You know what I mean? We can't really expect them to be, godly or whatever. They make mistakes. They learn from their mistakes. So yes or no? Is it worth it?
From where I stand?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. We're done. Where can we find you on social media?
You can hit me up social media. I actually answer a lot of my inboxes. Twitter or X. I'm at KingTux1. TikTok, which I like a lot. I'm at KingTux1. Facebook, KingTux, KingTux, or Tumelo Johwa. I've got that being what's the word? Handled, but I answer all my inboxes. All right. So feel free to hit me up.
And I knew when I invited you, or there are people who actually do stuff for you. I got that handled. Like I'm struggling, man. I'm always on my social media doing my own thing. But
but you're sharpening up. That's you gotta toughen up.
Hey, KingTux, thank you very much for coming through. Like I say, we'll pick this up because there's a lot that we didn't cover. I just wanted to cover this much because look, at the end of the day, there's always a lot that can be covered. And so let's just wrap this up right here, and definitely we'll get to pick it up some other time.
And also, thank you very much. I'm loving the music, especially the local R&B joints.
Nice one, man.
Big up.
Love's Lounge.